This 8-year-old boy is a robber. He's holding a gun on a hostage. If the hostage makes the slightest move, the kid will fire immediately. The hostage steps closer to the boy, deliberately looks at the kid's small chest, and says, "Your buddy's pathetic, hardly manly at all. How are you supposed to scare me like that?" That remark stings the boy's pride. He instinctively glances at his companion, and the hostage seizes the moment to grab the kid's gun, trying to kill him. It turns out the gun is unloaded. The man pins the boy with an arm. Thinking quickly, the boy bites the hostage's ear. The man recoils in pain and loosens his grip. The boy slips out, opens the car door, and runs, his small figure darting in and out of the cornfield. The hostage jumps out and searches everywhere. At that moment, a man in a red shirt finds the boy, tells him to stay quiet, and asks him to hand over the gun so he can load it with bullets. Then the man in red goes after the hostage while the child slips away. Suddenly a gunshot rings out, and the hostage ends up taking a meal box. Turns out the child was the real hostage, and the other two men, including the man in red, are the robbers. But how did the boy get the gun in the first place, and why did the man in red protect him? To find out the full story, watch on with Catnap Recaps. On a clear, bright night at a prison in Huntsville, two criminals are breaking out. They cut through the ventilation grill in their cell and crawl into the ductwork. Robert jams something from his inmate kit to stop the fan, tears down the protective mesh, and uses a blanket as a makeshift rope to escape with his cellmate. They overpower a corrections officer and steal his gun. The two successfully break out. But Robert's cellmate, probably worn down by long incarceration, is seriously unstable. He even brazenly barges into a room to commit a sexual assault. The victim is a single mother. When confronted by this attacker, she is too terrified to fight back or scream. She fears for her child. Her son, Philip, suddenly appears in front of the attacker. The robber slaps him, and Philip falls to the floor. Robert rushes over, kicks his cellmate, then tells Philip to pick up the gun, aim at the man's forehead, and shout, "Robbery!" Philip, confused, follows Robert's instructions. At that moment, an elderly neighbor hears the commotion and runs over with a shotgun. Reluctantly, Robert grabs the boy and holds him as a hostage, points a gun at the old man, stomps on the man's shotgun, then jumps into a car and speeds off. The incident alarms the police. The police chief, accompanied by a female criminal psychologist, pursues the escapees in an armored vehicle. As for Robert's cellmate, besides being out of control, his mental state is shattered. Throughout the chase he keeps firing, even putting bullets through the car. He seems terrified the police will catch up and keeps threatening Philip, making the boy scream. Robert doesn't say much. The cellmate has long irritated him, so he tells Philip to drive, turns back, and punches the cellmate. Only then does the man quiet down. Later, Robert stops to buy food. He hands the gun back to Philip and says, if the cellmate causes trouble again, pull the trigger and shoot him. That's why you see the scene at the start of the video. Robert then continues on with Philip and even buys the boy his favorite drink. Philip asks, "Are you going to kill me?" Robert answers, "I let you live this long, I'm not going to kill you." Robert, afraid Philip might not trust him, decides to teach the boy how to drive. Even though Philip is only 8, his mother raised him to be quiet and obedient, more like a wooden doll than a child. But after meeting someone as daring as Robert, the boy can't help but feel drawn to him. Halfway down the road, Robert decides to switch cars. The police are already closing in. He stops near a farm and tells Philip to check if the farmer left his car keys inside. The boy obediently goes to look and quickly comes back to report that the keys are there. Robert wastes no time. While the farmer isn't looking, he snatches a few clothes and pulls Philip back into the car. The farmer notices and grabs the car door. Robert pulls out his gun to threaten him, and Philip, thinking fast, bites the man's arm, forcing him to let go. If it weren't for Philip, that farmer might have ended up a corpse. Robert doesn't say much, but in the boy's eyes, he sees a reflection of his own childhood. Robert's father was abusive. As a kid, Robert suffered countless beatings, and so did his mother. When he grew up, he killed his own father. That's why he ended up in prison, and that's why he now protects Philip so fiercely. Robert takes Philip shopping for new clothes and shoes. Coincidentally, a TV in the store starts broadcasting the news about his escape. The shop owner immediately reaches for the phone. Robert shakes his head and warns, "If you call the cops, you're getting a meal box right now." The owner hesitates, then slowly sets the phone down, but by then, local police have already spotted Robert's car and blocked the road. Without a word, Robert slams the car in reverse and rams straight into the police vehicle. He then speeds toward the supermarket to pick up Philip. Meanwhile, Philip has swiped a set of clothes from the store and hidden them under his jacket. A store clerk warns him, "Put those back, be a good boy." Robert doesn't scold him. He lets Philip decide for himself. After a moment of hesitation, the boy chooses to leave with Robert because for the first time, he feels what freedom tastes like. On the road, Robert tells him to take out the clothes. Philip asks quietly, "Aren't you mad at me?" His mother would have yelled at him for something like this. Everything he did was always wrong. Robert says, "Stealing isn't right. Next time, we pay for it, but we'll let it slide this once." Philip changes into his new outfit, a Halloween costume. He admits he's never celebrated Halloween before because his mom forbids it. Hearing that, Robert decides to make the boy's small wish come true. He drives Philip to a White House and tells him to put on the ghost mask, knock on the door, and say, "Trick or treat." The homeowner replies helplessly, "Sorry, kid, you're late. Halloween was yesterday, no candy left." Robert lifts his jacket just enough to reveal his gun. The man panics, rushes to grab some snacks for Philip, and even slips a few bills into the boy's pocket. Philip beams with joy, unaware of what Robert did behind the scenes. Seeing him that happy, Robert wants to fulfill even more of the boy's dreams. Philip says he wants to ride a roller coaster, so Robert ties a rope as a makeshift seatbelt, lets Philip sit on top of the car, and steps on the gas. Wearing sunglasses, Philip sings and shouts as the wind whips past his face, pure happiness radiating from him. But seriously, don't try this at home, folks, it's dangerous. Back to the story, not long after, Robert hears police sirens. He stops the car and moves to a cliffside to watch. Sure enough, the police are setting up roadblocks and checking every passing vehicle. Thinking fast, Robert waves down a man on the side of the road, saying his car broke down and he needs a lift. But before the man can even answer, the car Philip is sitting in suddenly starts rolling. Robert forgot to turn off the engine. Philip panics and screams for help. Robert stays calm and yells for him to hit the brake, but the boy's legs are too short to reach the pedal. Without hesitation, Robert jumps in front of the moving car, shouting for Philip to press with all his strength. The car finally screeches to a stop just inches from Robert. The man, witnessing the whole thing, agrees to give them a ride. He drives them toward a nearby police checkpoint. Philip, sharp as ever, slips on Robert's sunglasses and curls up in his lap to disguise himself. The cops don't notice a thing. Once they're past the checkpoint, Robert shows his true colors, forcing the man and his family out of the car before taking off again with Philip. After driving for a while, Robert and Philip stop at a small roadside diner for burgers. The curvy waitress catches Robert's eye, and before long, sparks fly. Philip, wondering why Robert hasn't come back, walks inside, only to stumble into a steamy scene that makes him freeze in shock. Embarrassed, Robert rushes the boy out of there. Feeling awkward, he drives into a cornfield and pretends to fall asleep to dodge Philip's questions. But in the middle of the night, a blinding light floods the car. Robert instinctively draws his gun. It turns out to be an older farmer. Seeing how rough they look, the man assumes they're homeless and kindly offers them a place to stay. Robert stays cautious, suspecting a setup, but the farmer says, "You can handle it, but that kid can't." Sensing sincerity, Robert agrees. After days on the road, the two finally get a proper night's rest. The next morning, the farmer's wife cooks them a hearty breakfast. During the meal, the farmer tells his son to fetch something from the car. When the boy ignores him, the man slaps him hard and snarls, "Useless brat." The outburst makes Robert's blood boil. After breakfast, the farmer goes to the bathroom. While taking care of business, he hears a radio broadcast reporting on Robert and Philip. His face turns pale. Outside, Robert overhears everything. He walks in, switches off the radio, grabs the knife from the man's hand, and warns, "If you call the cops, your whole family's done for." The man freezes in fear. When he steps out, he calls for his son again. The boy refuses, and gets another slap. This time, Robert snaps. He despises domestic violence more than anything. He storms over, slaps the man, pulls out his gun, and shoves him onto the couch. "What gives you the right to hit him? A kid disobeys, so you beat him, then you deserve to die." Robert orders Philip to fetch some rope and duct tape. The boy hesitates, and Robert shouts angrily. Terrified, Philip runs to get the supplies. Robert cuts the rope into sections, ties the farmer up, tapes the mouths of everyone in the house, and even wraps the wife's arms in tape. Everything's ready. Robert reaches for his gun, but it's gone. He turns around and sees Philip holding it, aiming straight at his groin. Then, Philip pulls the trigger. Tears stream down Philip's face. He doesn't want to hurt Robert, but he can't let innocent people die either. He runs outside and throws the gun into a well. Holding his bleeding wound, Robert struggles to stand and slowly follows. Instead of blaming Philip, he praises him, saying, "You did the right thing, kid, brave and righteous." Robert tells him, "I've only ever killed 2 people in my life, my father, who hurt my mother, and that cellmate, who hurt you." He just wants to talk, maybe start over. But Philip doesn't know if he can trust him anymore, so he climbs up a big tree to hide. Robert leans against the trunk, pulls out a photo of beautiful Alaska, and says, "I want to take you there someday, live a quiet life." He lies down as he talks, his voice weakening. Worried, Philip jumps down from the tree and runs to him. Suddenly, 7 or 8 police cars swarm the area. Philip cries out, "Run, Robert, run." But there's no way he can. The officers hold their fire, afraid to hit the boy. Then, a helicopter appears overhead. It's Philip's mother. Robert takes this chance to speak to her. "Promise me something. Let Philip celebrate Halloween every year. Let him ride a roller coaster, eat cotton candy, everything he's ever dreamed of." Philip's mother breaks down in shame. A fugitive knows her son's dreams better than she does. She nods tearfully and agrees. Robert hands all his money to Philip. "Take this, buy yourself some candy when you're home. That's something I can't do with you anymore." They shake hands, closing the chapter of their short but meaningful bond. Robert says softly, "Put on the mask, raise your hands, and walk slowly to the police like it's Halloween night." Philip obeys. Meanwhile, Robert crawls backward. Halfway there, Philip stops, takes off the mask, runs back, and asks, "Are they going to shoot you?" Robert wasn't trying to escape, he was just crawling farther away, so the boy wouldn't see him die. Philip bursts into tears and hugs him tightly. In that moment, though they're not related by blood, Philip feels the warmth of a true father. And Robert's childhood trauma is finally healed by this innocent boy. The two walk hand in hand toward the police, showing that Robert never hurt the child, hoping his sentence might be lighter. Robert pulls out a photo to give Philip, but one officer mistakes the motion for a threat and fires. Philip screams in despair, clutching Robert, refusing to let go. The officers and his mother rush in to separate them. Robert collapses. Philip runs to him again, picks up the photo, crying as his mother drags him away. The money spills from his pockets, fluttering to the ground. Philip boards the helicopter with his mother, but his eyes stay fixed on Robert until the very end. Robert lies under the sunlight, peaceful at last. People say the lucky ones use childhood to heal a lifetime, but the unlucky spend a lifetime healing their childhood. Philip's childhood had been dark and suffocating under his mother's strict control until he met Robert. Robert brought color and freedom into his life. Robert's own childhood was filled with violence, shaping him into a cold and broken man, doomed to crime. Both of them carried their own pain, but together, they made each other whole. Now, Robert has no regrets, and Philip, too, has found peace. For them, a world without regrets truly is a perfect world. The movie ends here. It's called A Perfect World 1993. Did you enjoy this story? If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.